And welcome back to Square Off. Public television and radio broadcasters here in Arizona and around the country are facing a severe financial blow. President Donald Trump has issued an executive order ending federal funding for NPR and PBS. Trump accuses the broadcasters of biased and partisan news coverage. Scott Wolfel is general manager of Arizona PBS and one of countless public broadcasting executives around the country figuring out what the future looks like. Scott, welcome to Square Off.
My pleasure.
First, please make clear for our viewers, what is the difference between Arizona PBS and public radio here in Arizona?
Arizona PBS is part of ASU. Public radio, KJZZ, is licensed to Maricopa Community Colleges, so we cooperate on things, but we don't have any ownership connection.
You've been in the news business quite a while, CNN, public TV. Presidents have always had a thing about NPR and PBS, haven't they? What makes this time different?
You know, the Public Broadcasting Act was passed in 1967, and there have been challenges to federal funding all along. But this really is the most severe. And it's not just the executive order that came last week, which we actually think doesn't have authority to do anything since Corporation for Public Broadcasting is funded by Congress, by an act of Congress. But if you look on every front, the president released his budget last week as well. There's zero funding for Corporation for Public Broadcasting in that. More than that, there could be a move afoot to rescind money that's already been enacted for the current fiscal year that's coming up. And so PBS, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the Trade Group for Public Television, we're all gearing up to fight this because we know how much the public depends on us.
So wait, there's money that's been allocated for 25, 26, you're saying?
For 26, 27. So
26, 27?
Yeah, CPB, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, is funded 2 years in advance, and it was set up that way in 1967 to take politics out of it. Now, politics obviously has crept back into it, but the money that was legislated for 26, 27 is what next may be under question from the Trump administration, and we're waiting for that shoe to drop.
Now, a lot of folks don't have a good idea of how much public that funding makes up of your total pie. Explain that.
We get about $2 million a year through what's called the Community Service Grant we get from CPB, which is about 13% of our budget.
So that's significant.
Yeah. You know, the good news is 85% plus of our budget comes from right here in Arizona, whether it's individual members, corporate support, foundation support, but that's really vital funds.
So are you planning right now for life without that funding?
We are. Of course, we have to be. So we're in the process of budgeting going forward and looking at what that means to our, the productions that we do and the outreach we do. You know, a lot of people, when you hear the arguments against public media, it's like, well, there's so many channels now. Why does federal dollars need to go to that? But I think there's a couple arguments against that. First of all, most of especially when you look at kids programming, most of the services that people tout as an alternative cost something. We are provided free, will always be provided free to the public. But the other thing that people don't understand is we do a significant amount of work in the state in the area of education and public safety and things like that. 25% of our staff doesn't touch our on-air broadcast. They're really just involved in our education outreach.
So as you look forward and start drawing up budgets, what could fall away?
Right now, we're looking to replace that money anywhere we can locally. And people have stepped up, and we're seeing more donations, not just with us, but all across the country. But, you know, we're going to have to make hard choices.
Like what? Give us an example.
Well, you know, do less with what we have. So I'll give you an example. We host Super Y, which is our kids program, Super Y summer camps, which looks at basic literacy, numbers, letters, and things like that for preschool kids, 2 to 5. We had planned to do 12 of those camps this summer all around the state, really reaching poor communities and other places where preschool resources don't exist. We're only going to be able to do 9 now.
What about content? Donald Trump has shown no hesitation to put his finger, to meddle in major universities. Does PBS, do you need to change the content mix?
We feel we're one of the most balanced and fair organizations out there when it comes to news and the other programming, and polls back that up. The American public sees us. PBS is always right at the top of the pyramid.
And so what can viewers do? They might be wondering right now, it is a public resource. What can viewers do?
Well, if they watch Arizona PBS, they've seen my face on there asking for support. There is a nationwide effort called Protect My Public Media. at protectmypublicmedia.org. And it's just a simple way to communicate to your legislators that this is an important service. And in fact, over 1 million people have already reached out since this campaign started about a month ago, really just flooding Washington with requests to keep our funding.
And how concerned are you about foundation funding? Because I know public broadcasting relies on that to a great extent. How concerned are you about foundation funding maybe just drying up in the face of pressure from the Trump administration?
I mean, on the local level, we have not seen that. In fact, people are stepping up, and we've been accelerating our efforts really over the past 6 months in anticipation of this, and just because it's the right mix for us, right revenue mix, and so I'm not really worried about it locally.
All right, got to end it there. Scott Wolfel, best of luck to you in Arizona PBS.
Thank you very much.